I was very happy that Alcro invited me, because this is the first time I'm going to launch a real promotional big line of colors. I've never done that before. However, I've been working with color for the rest of my life, so it's a very nice challenge. The only other thing I ever did in color was for Mooi with Marcel Wanders, and he challenged me every year to pick up one color which would sort of be the mood of the future. And so we did maybe 5 years of one color, but that was not really like a real range. This is a real professional work. So the invitation was very welcome, and we had a very nice working relationship, because I think we share the same mentality about where the world should go and how we should work, and how we should be very careful about what we do, and how we should make things very, very beautiful, and also sort of weigh what we're doing in terms of how far you can go and so on. And when we showed this program in New Zealand, there was a lady in the audience, and she said that she had a bowerbird in her garden, and he loved blue and yellow, and he stole all the clothespins which were blue, and she found them later on in the nest. So they just go through any lengths to find the merchandise they need to make their color blocks. Just like us, working with all the colors and working with all the nuances and debating and discussing in the vitrine of our company. So we had, it was in winter, very pale light, so we had to study very much. So in fact, between those birds and ourselves, it's pretty much the same thing. We developed a few concepts for the future years, and of course I wanted to start with the baby birds for the reasons I already gave you. The idea that we are making our nest, that we want to make our nest more comforting, more welcoming, more great for children and babies or grandchildren, that we would like to create an interior which is very soft and where there's no aggression, where we can simply be and expand ourselves, and so where a child can grow up, or where we can go to the child in us, where the materials will be woven, the materials will be humble, we will be close to the earth, but we will of course be completely contemporary and use also contemporary design. It is almost the effect as if you are living in a pot of beautiful butter, very creamy, very soft, no aggression. And especially important here is, of course, an eggshell white, which I would like to think of to replace all other whites, because I think our interiors might be a little bit too white sometimes. So it's so stark and it's so lifeless, whereas slightly dirty tone of white somehow helps all other colors to sing. It's a trick of a colorist. It's better to have a slightly tinted white. Then this baby bird yellow, which I think is so important because of the tone yellow, which I think is maybe the symbol color of our century, of this period in time. Because I believe in a better, longer period. And therefore I think gold and yellow and all yellowish tones will be very dominant. It took pink 15 years to become mainstream. 15 years ago, or maybe by now 17, we started to talk about pink, and then it was only just for babies and only just for girls. And by now, of course, pink is seen on men all over the planet. It's seen on all merchandise. So it came a long way. So now I believe that this yellow is going to be the same thing for this period. So we will have 15 years of yellow to come. Then we have let's say a caramel, or a cognac if you will, or something which is also soft and warming and welcoming, and there's no aggression, and there's only just a sense of well-being. And our last color, which is a pearlized gray, is also very interesting because it's your color. It's really Gustavian, I would say. And so we have also tried in our choices of stories and colors to be very close to some of your origins and how we feel the life in Sweden is, which is a life, of course, of extreme well-being. You are the best people to make house in the world, I believe. I know this because I have Swedish friends who sometimes come to my house in Normandy, and I happen to believe that I'm a good cook and that I make nice beds and that I make nice flowers and stuff. But when they come, boy, I mean, they just, made me fade away, because they are making jam, they're making pancakes, they're hunting for mushrooms, and they're doing all these things with an amazing, so natural feeling for craft. So I think possibly because of the fact that you have light so little in winter, that you have developed such a skill for well-being and making house. And I think that's a very Swedish and Scandinavian character. So this story is really a story for your country. Eggshell, baby bird, newborn skin, and pearl grey. Very beautiful, sorry, I go back. Very beautiful together, as the ambiance we showed in the picture. But each of them is also very interesting, almost as a neutral to use with other colors. The urban birds I picked out, of course, because grey is such an important moment still. But then there is this grey with all these tints. And it's also because to say that we will have contemporary colors in contemporary settings, in contemporary way of living, and a more nomadic life, and a life which is made with furniture which is more horizontal. So I see it almost more as landscaping interior than interior design. Just furniture to hang on, to sit on, to drag your computer wherever you go, to have some books, to have some blankets, to have some food. A very non-traditional way of life, which we see more and more in our inner cities with our young people. The paintings, by the way, are made by a French painter, Nathalie Dété, and I think that there is a set of these drawings for you. Very, very nice drawings. So here the colors are medium dark, because we will propose even darker colors. And let's say it's ranging like concrete. It's sort of the same density as concrete. So it's very much for inner city life. And we speak of pigeon grey, purple flock, iridescent blue, and city duck. Sorry, there's a mistake. So these colors are non-obstructive, they're not aggressive, they're not military. They are just sort of very basic, medium dark, casual colors, which a younger generation will use, I think, in bigger amounts of color, to do a whole floor, to do a whole wall, to do a chimney, and so forth. In our company in Paris, we have forever had a policy that a few walls in the company are always tinted, according to the mood of the moment, or the year, or the season. So the wall behind our kitchen can go from concrete grey to metal to vivid green and so forth. And I believe that paint is a mode of expression which is so easy, because you can just go over it again. It's something which is a non-permanent thing. And I think that maybe historically paint is seen as something to cover up so it will not rot. It's just to preserve more than anything else. And I think now color is more seen as an expression of the person, of the moment, of the group we live in, of the social structure. So these colors, as you can see, work fairly well together. It's very easy to combine them. The most, let's say, avant-garde is the sort of grey violet, which is more for whoever loves so much violet. It's not like it's more unique. But I would say that the grey color in here, together with the green and blue, will be the basics of the season. Also very interesting colors to be used, of course, outdoors. They're almost normal, if you want. Rural birds is this ambiance of a more... If you cannot see it because of the beam, there's some sort of seats here in front if you want to come more up close. Sorry, I forgot to tell you. That's really what I think our kitchen should be, or our dining room kitchen, because I don't believe anymore in the old rooms. I don't believe anymore in the salon, in the dining room. What I see happening wherever I go in the world is that people will sacrifice many, many spaces to make one big kitchen where they will be. And in the kitchen we will play and we will study and we have food and we will watch even maybe television, computer. We will have these long, long tables where we share food and we are like a family and a family of friends. This is the moment of togetherness. Then we have lots of space for our bedroom, which becomes a sort of cinema, come playroom, come study room and so forth. And then we have a lot of space for our bathrooms. So the kitchen, I believe, is a very, very important domain. And because the kitchen becomes more than just a kitchen, we see that the kitchen room, if you want, or the kitchen area is getting more decorated. We attach much more attention to it. And it has, of course, in many cases, a little bit of a rural traditional flavor. Because that is what we refer to, especially in your country, where the ceramics are still very much original, where the woodwork, I mean, many of your houses are still made in wood, or your country houses at least are on the lake. So I think this is another, let's say, this is maybe the most Scandinavian color card of all. But we know it as Scandinavian outer colors, and I think they're really interesting also as inner colors. So there is the crest of the rooster, which is a sort of slightly darker tomato. Chicken coop, a very interesting sort of non-committal green, because it's not military or it's not billiard, it's a sort of middle of the road green. The brown hen and the guinea fowl. To be used together or to be used uniquely on a piece. Definitely very nice on planks and on, I think, plank floors. On furniture, I believe that there is a comeback of painted furniture in the world. Everywhere I see people paint, but I see industry also painting the furniture. The rocking chairs, the banks, the communal tables and so forth. Then this weaver bird, which we admire so much because he makes these amazing constructions. He's a real architect. And which in a way, in terms of color and mentality of this consumer, would say arts and crafts, handmade, original, regional, local, from the moment. You know that in the world, people are more and more convinced that now that we live in this global society, that it's very important to become local. Because the more you're local, the more in fact you can become global, because you have something to say which is different from the global scene. And also that you need to feel in touch with your own region and your own origins, because otherwise you feel lost. You know, who are we anyhow? So these local trends, these local traditions, this local food, also the food from the moment, so not strawberries at Christmas, but strawberries when it's strawberry time, really to abide by the laws of nature, is really making a comeback. As is the use of natural materials like straw, weaving, ceramic, glass, metal, casting, and so forth. So this is an image which tries to illustrate that mentality, this type of gifted consumer who uses the paint actually to make a painting, a mural, instead of just a color, who who will use color together with wood, not tinting the whole thing, who will color small items like the leather, who is interested in the embellishment of everyday life, who's a real aesthetic person, and it's in a way the consumer which is really making his own gallery, who is really the commissaire, the curator of his own environment. And I believe so much this is happening, that the consumer is so much wiser than we keep telling us that he is. I speak to a lot of consumers directly also in some seminars, and they just get it, they just know it, because they have much more information, they're much more clever, and they know when they come home with their food that they're not going to put it in the fridge, but they're going to make a beautiful still life with the salads and the fruits, that they come home with their florals, and they will make not a bouquet, but they will have several vases and make an installation. And they know how to bring an object from Africa together with an object from grandmother together with an object from IKEA. And they know. And so I believe that this archetype, if you want, this consumer, this creative consumer, is going to be very, very important in the future. This is what we will have to cope with as industry, as designers, as colorists, as journalists. Co-creation is part of this whole picture. And so therefore I believe in social terms that this is a very important tendency. Weaver yellow, bishop brown, green passerine and blue finch. Medium colors, again new in their intensity, but not shockingly not trying to be trendy in a way. It's all very original colors. The yellow is again present, and the brown is very terracotta-ish. Then these cocktail birds, I found it irresistible to do something about this, to do something about us, wearing these beautiful mules, us having this very coquettish underwear, us, having maybe wilder dreams than we would like to admit, us females making sometimes an environment for us, a party amongst us, a way to intrigue the males to come on our turf. So what we see happening in the interiors in the world is that since everybody is focusing on these big spaces, like the big kitchen space and the big bedroom where the kids are rolling in the bed with the parents and watching movies, and the bathroom where everybody is in the clinique almost, that is all rooms everybody uses, so it has no gender, it's family, it is not male or female. And now suddenly people want to use the other small rooms which are left over in the house to do gender-specific rooms, like a whiskey bar, or a cinema, or a hobby room, or in this case maybe something like a boudoir type thing, with embellished goods, with crystal materials, with little side tables, party stuff, really the coquettish things in life. And therefore our color card is a new vision on pastel. It's not too pale, it's pretty intense, with pink parrots, celadon parakeet, budgie blue and Macao mauve. They look great together, I must say. They are really, really well executed. And they could also be very, very good for girls. Because I think the young girls, they love pink still. They love Barbie. They love this ambiance of female things. So it's also, I think, a very cool thing for the girls' rooms. But I don't care if a man also wants to have his pink room, because pink can also be If you think of the buildings of Barragán in Mexico, he has pink outside walls, and it's amazing, and it's losing its female character. So it depends how you interpret this pink. You can also think of it as an ethnic color. So this singing bird we discussed, this beautiful song suddenly bursting out, this beautiful little bit and piece of color which makes your day, was very, very inspiring and really giving me a sort of explaining the hope I have in the future. And therefore we also developed this as a color card with a denser color of pink, with another yellow, I'm insisting, as you can see, a green and a blue. So those colors are colors which need a daring form of individualism to do your decor like this. It's not. They will mostly, I think, be used as accessories. However, I find it very appealing to have suddenly sort of a shot of color like that in an otherwise neutral building. Hummingbird pink, chickadee green, canary yellow, and robin blue. These colors are very, very studied, not to be too bright, not to sort of to be gaudy, and to be able to be also combined together. So they are a little bit grayish, they are a little bit toned down. They still have this intensity, but they're not as bright as the fashion colors, obviously. They are really studied for the interior. Then the blackbirds. This is a very daring thing they let me do. Thank you very much. Because that is not given to any company to have that guts. Congratulations. Because these colors, and you will see them later on when we again have the light, they are amazingly beautiful. They are tinted black. So it's almost black. Exactly like the different tones of the feathers of these blackbirds. So this means that you could do something black which is not completely black. Like a very dark something. It's like a sort of hue. And obviously they're amazing together, because then you have a real beautiful historical Gothic castle type theatrical environment. But it can be also, of course, intriguing to do just a beautiful two-seater or to do a beautiful historical table. I think these colors are very nice to update vintage furniture from your grandfather and mother. It's the ideal sort of color to sort of update classical historical styles. And they will, I think, strike a note with the very young people who love, again, this darkness. And they are sitting behind a screen anyhow, so they like it to be in a sort of dark environment. So with two dark ranges, one is more gray and more everyday, but this is really powerfully dark. That is a real shift in the way we see color in the interior. And we believe it's still avant-garde, it's still, it's a step, but we think it's a very important trend to also use much more density in the color in interior. Not take it easy, take the challenge, in fact. And again, I think this is possible because the consumer becomes so savvy. So here it's hard to see on the screen, it's much more beautiful in real. Purple jackdaw, blackbird blue, that's a very dark navy, which is unusual for the interior. Crow and raven. And then we designed 3 accents, because I'm always overdoing it a little bit. I can never have enough. I always want to make things happen also, and I was allowed to do that, and thank you very much again, because I think that makes the range pretty amazing. I needed 3 accents to make everything else work. And that is a linen color, which is the wool of the weaver. The color of linen, undyed linen. So it's the neutral of neutrals. I mean, you cannot be more neutral. An untinted flux. And all other colors are good on linen, is my experience. So linen is a divine hue, which is the easiest choice to do a whole interior and then start putting other colors. The second accent color is a matte gold, which I see now not anymore as a metal, but more as a color, more as a mentality, more as a joyful, reflective surface. But of course can be used to do frames of mirrors, to do a whole staircase suddenly, to make it very festive. It can be used any other way. People can use it in a Baroque way or in a very contemporary way. It's a beautiful executed gold, because that's not easy. It should look really like as if it's with real gold, and it's really well done. And what we know from our research in the design field is that at this point all designers are working with metals, notably gold, and that the crisis has had no effect on it, which is very bizarre, because this is crisis number 8 in my life, and all the 7 other crises always indicated that after the glossy period of the wealthy period, you go back to 0 and then you start again with matte. Always. Always the result was minimalism. Oh, I've been spending too much, I will not do it anymore, I'm going to have matte merchandise. Except this time. And I believe that the reason possibly why this is that we don't feel guilty as consumers, because it's a financial crisis from the financial institutions, which then spilled over on us. We are the victims, and we are not this time the makers of the crisis. And therefore there is this persistent feeling the consumer has for a pair of nice golden sandals, and a nice metal lamp, a nice little sort of side table in a glossy material. That's very much a sign of our times, and it also means possibly that the reprisal after the crisis will be much more fast and deep. And then, last but not least, a lacquered, a very high Asian lacquered black to top off something. To, for instance, if you think of that table, which is a new table but based on an historical Dutch table, of course then this glossy finish is absolutely miraculous. And again, the gold, the black and the linen are compatible with all other stories. So the black lacquer, you can use it on the pastel, and then suddenly it becomes very sharp and graphic, for instance. Linen, canvas, golden moon and midnight lacquer. Enjoy. I hope that you... Sorry. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a pleasure, really.